Eric and Joe, thanks so much. We're with longtime CBS 2 political producer Ed Marshall, serving as our analyst tonight. Monumental day here. Last night you spoke with the Lori Lightfoot campaign. They were confident.
They were confident. They were not worried at all. They were bragging about their get out the vote effort, about their ability to identify their voters, about a very sophisticated program they were using to identify voters through analytics and then find them by texting them on their phones. They had spent a lot of money on this. They'd also spent a fair amount of money on digital advertising and on broadcast advertising. So this is a monumental failure. This is an incumbent mayor who may have been unelectable, and no amount of analytics or smart people could get her over the finish line.
There were such high hopes 4 years ago. You remember it. Now, of course, this was before the pandemic, before the unrest following George Floyd's killing. But there were some personality issues here, too, it seems.
Well, you and I were talking about a former alderman who told a reporter tonight that it was hard to be the mayor's friend when she treated you as the enemy. And I think that pretty much sums up her ability to build a coalition, at least in city council, was hamstrung by her pugnacious personality. And
it makes me wonder whether or not, because she had not been a politician, that she perhaps did not learn the political ways, the relationship building that you have to have in order to create bonds with people and gently persuade people to go your way.
Yeah, and instincts in politics don't come overnight, and they have to be developed. They have to be nurtured. And it's clear to me that, you know, being an aggressive attorney at a major law firm behind doors, you know, cracking people over the knees, is not the way to build a winning coalition to stay in office on the 5th floor in Chicago.
How do you think the city is going to remember Lori Lightfoot?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that if her friends can get her accomplishments out there, these are the ones. She did a heck of a job in increasing funding for mental health services in Chicago. She should have touted this more. She did not. She did a heck of a job by funding this West Side, Southwest Side development plan that you may have heard a little bit about. Very, very positive program that a lot of people are very happy about. She hasn't touted that as she should have. Very few people are talking about the fact that she's going to create, or has started the creation, of a Southeast Side film studio in an area that used to be dominated by steel mills and has needed jobs for decades.
Yeah.
And lastly, she was just terrific on COVID. And I guess she'd be remembered as the person who had that right tone, that sort of motherly aunt tone during COVID, chiding people to get their shots, but being supportive and letting people know they weren't alone and that she had their backs.
So in the few minutes we have left, let's look ahead to the race in April. Paul Vallis, former CEO of the Chicago public school system, favored by many conservatives and the handful of Republicans that we have in Chicago, against Brandon Johnson, who is linked arm in arm with the Chicago Teachers Union. How does that race shake out, do you think?
Well, it's clear that Paul Vallis has a lane. His lane is white voters. His lane is the Southwest Side and Northwest Side wards that are home to many members of law enforcement and fire department and people who are the bedrock of the city community. People who may feel that, you know, having to live in the city as a condition of their work forces them into living in unsafe places. They may feel vindicated that someone who thinks like they do or feels their pain is in office. But the white vote alone won't be enough. The makeup of the city, demographics, don't support a white mayor anymore. So he's going to have to make inroads among organized labor. I'm not talking about the left-leaning unions like the SEIU or the Teachers Union. We know they're going to go with Brandon Johnson because those are his backers. I'm talking about the carpenters, the bricklayers, the iron workers, the tower crane operators. These unions that were prepared to help Lori in the runoff and were going to support her 100% against Vallis. Now they have a decision to make. Who are they going to back?
Let's talk about Brandon Johnson. What does he have to do to win?
Well, I think Brandon Johnson has an opportunity. After listening to his speech tonight, he came across as likable, charismatic, pragmatic, someone who wants the job, has a passion for wanting to help people. I think if he can move away from his reputation as a defunder of police and acknowledge that most of the city right now isn't feeling safe, and that they don't want to hear someone say, well, we just need more programs, or we need more mental health workers, or we need to do a better job with our schools. I think most people want to know that they can walk in the loop on a Sunday night and not get shot.
Ed, thanks so much. Let's go back to Joe and Erica.